live, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Linked Up on LinkedIn. Peter Clarke, Red TV. I'm going to try to calm down here because I just get pretty excited about stuff. This is one of them. Music is one of them. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me today, wherever you are dialing in from. We're all over the world, which is fantastic about these kinds of events. We can speak to anybody, anywhere. Yesterday, we were in Australia, and now we're going to the UK. We are live on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and any other little word.com that does these kinds of things. It's out there somewhere. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited. I'm always excited, as you probably know that. I keep telling you that every show, but I mean it genuinely. But this one, I mean, I got my music shirt, my favorite music shirt on right now. I got my music socks on. I got my stuff in the background here. I'm certainly not going to touch these while I talk to this guy. I'm not going to touch my piano. That is for sure. This gentleman, I just do a quick intro and get him on really quick here. I don't even know this guy. I have no idea who he is. And I saw him do something live on LinkedIn. And he was actually simulcasting on LinkedIn and going up to Clubhouse. And if you don't know what Clubhouse is, just start Googling Clubhouse and you'll see what I'm referring to. And I thought, this guy is super cool. He's got cool energy and he's playing music and he's tying it together with the idea that, you know, music is a great way to relieve stress and for people to take a break from work days and being on the computer all day and all these kinds of things. So I just think that's a fan. And right away, I just thought to myself, this is fantastic. I want to meet this guy. So I reached out to him right away and he said, yeah, I'll come on your show. So literally, this is the first time we're actually communicating with each other. And I'm so excited to talk to Mark Deeks. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Peter, man, how are you doing? This is great. I'm dead excited.
I listened. I just learned a whole bunch about you just before I came on, and this is why I'm so crazy excited right now because I said, and I was just saying to you, Mark, I was saying, God, I should have used this for the show, but everyone would have shut us down. I would have been screaming and yelling into the microphone. I so appreciate you being here. Really, really do. It's great to meet you. We're having our very first conversation. So everyone, you're just kind of listening in on the very first conversation between two musicians. Well, he's a real musician. I just play one on TV. First of all, how are you? How are your family? All that kind of stuff. That's the most important question of the current day. How are things?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Yeah, it's a strange time, obviously, to be a musician, but I'm really grateful and lucky that a lot of what I do can be done online anyway. And in terms of my piano coaching, that was done online pre-COVID, so that's really fortunate. My choir that I run are just such a supportive bunch of people that they've really responded to getting involved with using technology instead of being together. So we've managed to keep our choir of 150 singers going all the way through this as well. So yeah, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse.
Oh, absolutely. And again, like you said, if you're healthy and your family's good and all that kind of stuff, I think it's so important. Hey, I just want to show everybody, it's a humility thing I like to share with everybody. I want to show where we are right now. If you, if your ego ever gets out of check, just remind yourself that's where we are right now. So here's where I am. I'm all the way over here in Canada. So I just wanted to show you where we travel around the world, which is fantastic. Calgary, Alberta. And we're going over to see our fine friend, Mark Deeks. Look where we got to go. Whoa. Hello.
Wow. Look at this.
Look where we're going. Oh, we are going all the way down into, and the name of your town is, sorry, where you are right now?
Blythe.
Blythe, right on.
Yeah.
Blythe.
That's remarkably accurate. Wow.
Is that really okay? Just so everyone knows, it's not his house. So not. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm pinned right onto your house and so on. Where generally are you in the city right there? Are you in the town? Where are you generally speaking?
I'm trying to get my bearings. I need to work it out. I'm not very good at maps, but that's pretty close.
That's close enough. That's close enough. So let's see where you are generally speaking in the UK. So there you are. Okay, from the UK and so on. Fantastic. So I love showing that just simply because it just reminds us, the world is very, very small and we can connect to each other all around the world. Absolutely. So I just want to welcome you from Blythe, right? Blythe. Yeah, it's a Canadian accent here. Sorry about that. It's all good. Hey, let's just jump right into the fact that we connected. We connected literally where I stumbled upon your name as you were doing something live on LinkedIn. So tell me about even just that question right away. Why are you here on LinkedIn? Why do you connect with people and create content here on LinkedIn?
It's a really good question because for a lot of my time trying to, you know, spread my message and all these marketing terms like building your brand, I spent a lot of time on Facebook, because Facebook tends to be a place where a lot of people who want to learn piano hang out. But I guess, like in a lot of other industries, there's a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of people who want to do everything for free, and they're just sort of happy to wade through some content that might not be the best. So I feel kind of more an affinity on LinkedIn, but it's only really in the last year that I've kind of really put any time into it, because I sort of started to become aware that I could separate in my mind the notion that I was going to help someone to play an instrument from let's just see what good that can do them. And I think my musical career, you know, all my work as a musical director and arranger and teacher has always sort of been focused primarily on, you know, let's see how good we can make the music. And then people would come up to me and go, oh, you know, you've really given me confidence, or I really feel better for, you know, about myself for doing this musical hobby. But for me, that was sort of like a bonus and an extra. And in the last year, I guess, you know, COVID has really focused a lot of minds, and myself and my wife, we lost our baby daughter just like a week before COVID, and when my wife was pregnant. And I think over a lot of time, a lot of us have had to reflect. I've kind of realized that perhaps I've had my focus all wrong, and it should have been the other way around. And, you know, music can bring so much good to people. It can do so much for the soul. And whether they're any good at it is the secondary thing. You know, like, it's great if we can make people good at music, and I can help with that. But let's just focus about, how does this make us feel? Who does it remind us of? Where does it remind us of? What times in our past does it remind us of? Does learning to play the piano remind us of our granddad who used to play? Or do you know whatever it is? Let's think about what the music does for us, and then let's worry about being any good at it. You know, we're not trying to make a legion of professional piano players. We're trying to make people who can, you know, in the context of LinkedIn, for your question, unwind after work, switch off for 10 minutes after they've put the kids to bed, just decompress before they go to sleep. And, you know, people start talking about, I've slept better since playing the piano for a week. Well, that's mental. I mean, that, for want of a better word, you know, it's a crazy thing that someone could sleep better after playing the piano for a week. So piano is something that has been on so many people's bucket lists for decades. But I think that they approach it often in the mindset of, oh, I'll never be able to do that, I'm too old, or I'll never be any good at that. And my message is, you don't need to be any good at it to enjoy it, and you don't need to be any good at it to feel benefit in all of these other potential ways. So I think the LinkedIn audience kind of gets that really well. It's full of, you know, successful professionals and people who are used to the concept of, if this is going to do me good, then there's value to it. And so, yeah, I think that's why I'm spending an increasing amount of time on LinkedIn. And I feel a much more of an affinity with that audience.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And speaking of LinkedIn, I just say good morning there to Matty O'Keefe. Thank you for tuning in, buddy. And Matt, meet Mark. Here we are. This is cool.
Good morning, Mark.
It's great to be able to connect with people. And you're absolutely right. I don't want anyone to miss that message. Music, as you can see, I mean, for me in my whole life, I just know how important music has, what it's done in my life for meeting people and connecting with people, and putting me in situations that I wouldn't normally be in, just because someone says, hey, you play music, why don't you come here? And then you get an invite to do this or whatever the situation is. As soon as someone sees you, you know, holding a guitar, or like you said, you walk into a lobby of a hotel and you're traveling, and you get behind the piano, boom, you have, you know, 50 new friends. It's so powerful. And so I agree with you 100%. It's about the feeling and how good you are and all that stuff. That's a completely secondary. I really appreciate you starting with that sort of concept for everybody here on LinkedIn, because I'm thinking there might be some people actually watching this thinking, now why would you have a musician or talk about that here on LinkedIn? Well, it's so important. And we'll get to that about mental health and wellness and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about that piano guy. I love the idea that you know, that's your tag, if you will. You know, just as Cole's Notes kind of thing, tell us, you know, a little bit about that piano guy, you know, where the concept come from, and generally what you offer to people, so that when they do connect with you on LinkedIn, it's very clear of what your services are. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've played piano since I was 5. So this is as automatic as breathing to me. It's what I do. And I was teaching piano by the time I was 15. So this is my home turf, you know. I'm terrible at other things. I can't put a picture on the wall, but I can play piano blindfolded. So we all have our little quirks, right? So piano is just, I guess it's part of my identity. It's what I am. And when I sort of quickly realized that I was kind of developing a knack for explaining things to people, I realized that my passion is piano's kind of got a reputation. You know, it's what the posh kids play. It's what the rich families have. It's not as like maybe it's as accessible as picking up an acoustic guitar or singing. And
True.
so I know that when I was a kid and my mates wanted to go and play football, and I was like, no, I'm doing my piano practice kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
I know kind of piano's got this reputation, but I think what has ended up happening over many years is that we're now faced with generations of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s who associate piano in terms of the language that they heard when they were a child. You know, we can't afford piano lessons, or that's hard, you'll never do that, or you have to play classical music when of course you don't. And so they associate it with perhaps even bad experiences when they were a kid. You know, my piano teacher used to make me play scales, and if I got it wrong, they put the lid down on my knuckles. And
Sure.
I'm just not having any of that. So my passion is, here are all the reasons you think you couldn't do this, and then here are all the reasons why that's nonsense. I'm just not having it. So, you know, that's what my book was about. That's what my message is always. Here is something, you know, I've had a client say to me, I didn't think piano was accessible to me because I didn't do it as a child. And she was in her 50s.
Right.
So now she spent 40 or 50 years just ruling something out that she wanted to do because she'd never started as a child. So which I say, well, I'm not trying to make you a professional piano player. I'm trying to make just this little seed of ability happen in you, because I know what will happen in your life as a result of that. We don't need to make you this. We just need to make you this, and you'll have benefit and feel good about that. So I just, you know, we all need I guess like a marketing tool or an angle or something that people remember you by. And yeah, I'm kind of lucky a little bit. And the Deeks is a little bit of an unusual name, but yeah, that piano guy tends to work quite well.
I love it. As soon as I saw it, it's like, that's cool. That piano guy. And of course, you just mentioned your book. So I'm going to jump into that. Please, well, let's promote it right now. I definitely want to, because first of all, I know what it takes to write a book. I haven't written one. That's why I know what it takes, because I've been working on, everyone works on a book. Everyone, I think, even subconsciously is working on a book. So congratulations on that. I think you launched it just in the end of December. Yeah. So good for you. Congratulations. It is on Amazon. I'll put that information up in a second. You know, the fact that you called it not another piano book suggests that you knew that basically it's like, oh gosh, is that what the world needs now? Another piano book. So exactly. Talk to me about why still you push through that cheeky with the title, but basically you're saying, God, does the world need another one? But yet you put one out. Why was that important to you?
Because I knew that my message really wasn't, let's get you playing piano. It was it was the bit that's about how to play the piano is kind of like the back end of the book. The emphasis is, it's almost like sort of motivational book in sort of style and language. Here are all the reasons that I call them the piano myths. You know, I'm too old, my fingers are too long, my fingers are too fat, my fingers are too short. You know, all of the things that people just reel off. I'd love to play piano, but. And so I then sort of take them apart and say, well, you know, have you ever thought of it like this? This is why that's not really a valid argument. You know, this is something you've come to the conclusion of because of X, Y, and Z, and here's why that's not a reasonable conclusion. It's just a motivational book. Then it goes into, you know, if you were going to start, here are the things you need, because, you know, what's like, if you've never bought any of this equipment before, what do I need? And that might be enough to put someone off. So let's go right down to the last nth detail. Here are all the things you need. Here are all the things you wouldn't need. Here are some ways to save money and you don't have to spend a fortune. So it's just like a systematic dismantling of all of the barriers that people have put up. So it's not a piano book and like, here is how to play a scale of C major, because I don't think the world does need that. But not another piano book is here, you know, cheekily named that, as you say, just because I think the world does need a little bit of this. And I think what's been interesting is the response from all the reviews, and people who've read it have been saying things like, this is the least stuffy approach possible, was one of the reviews. Nice. Someone said this book will work where many others have failed. It's just about a new way of thinking about it, an encouraging way. And lots of people have talked about it being like someone said it was like having your friend sat there explaining and sort of reassuring you. And this really sort of conversational style that, as you can see, I'm not exactly a traditional piano teacher. You know,
No.
I've got a PhD in heavy metal, for crying out loud. So I'm not I'm not exactly like going to sit there and make you play your scales with a ruler over your knuckles. So
Well, with heavy metal, the beating stuff. We're going to get to that. We're going to jump to that but you're absolutely right. I mean, the idea that people had maybe some negative experiences in the past as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm looking here, for example, Maddie, who's still joining. It was negative for me, but I love music. Finished my grade 8 conservatory. Couldn't wait to quit. Can you imagine that? So someone had an experience like that in grade 8. So you're like 13, 14 years old, and you don't want to do music. It's so sad to hear a story like that.
It's awful, but it's because we've got this kind of mentality so often in music, of particularly in music education, of there is only one way to skin a cat. Once upon a time, music exams equaled classical. There just was nothing in terms of popular music or jazz or anything like that. It was just, here is music, here is like Bach or Beethoven or Mozart or whatever. And, let's not sit here and try and pretend that's not great music. Of course it's great music, and there's a market for that and people enjoy it, and that's fine. But other music exists. Popular music is called popular music for a reason. So let's just acknowledge that there are other approaches possible. So I think that it's really sad to hear those stories that the gentleman's just shared. That you're someone who has been almost like just whipped through the process of if you are going to do music, it must equal this, which then follows this, which then follows this.
Yeah.
And it robs people of the joy of why they got into it in the first place. I used to be a music lecturer, and I once had a student say to me, "Stop explaining music, you're ruining the magic. I just don't want to know how it works." And sometimes you get that if you kind of give someone too much knowledge about it, they're like, I just want to listen to my favorite song. So yeah, it's not an uncommon story to hear someone have that kind of response, and it's really sad.
I couldn't agree with you more. And back to that point about, I know for me, I mean, I've learned this. I never learned to read or write music, so that's an example of it right there. I've never learned. Everything I've learned was through ear, so guitar and all the other instruments that I sort of have enjoyed trying to play. And it's back to that point. I mean, I do it because how it makes me feel, and a really close second, and sometimes even more, I know how it makes people around me feel, and then automatically we have this connection. So I always put it to the idea that I've learned it for me, but I'm so glad I learned it because then I can share it with somebody else and have that experience.
Well, music's got that communal element, hasn't it? And that's another thing with piano, of course, that piano is sometimes really thought of as a very insular instrument, a very solo, lone pursuit to attempt to sort of wrestle with this instrument. And that's why one of the reasons I love doing sort of my videos for my clients and doing so much stuff on social media is it just allows me to amplify and multiply the way that I can bring what I know how to do to as many people as possible.
Absolutely. So the book is on Amazon, everybody. It's called Not Another Piano Book. It's straightforward. I actually had it ready to go up on the screen. I'm sorry, Mark. I wasn't able to kind of get it up on the screen right this second.
No
but it's on Amazon, everybody.
It's also at notanotherpianobook.com if anyone wants to go there too.
There you go. Fantastic. Again, let's stick back to being on LinkedIn and so on. I think it's really important that we connect the music, and maybe the reason why you are spending time on here and so on. It's a great way to connect with obviously people and that might be interested in working with you and so on. But there is a real service that comes from music because of the health benefits. And if anything, 2020 and 2021 has brought to the forefront is this incredible either connection or disconnection we're feeling, and overwhelm, whether people have lost their jobs or family members and all that kind of stuff. We know the health benefits of music. We know it reduces stress and lessens anxiety, and it improves memory. All kinds of different things. It's been proven to work with people even with Alzheimer's and other conditions where the connection of memories to music and so on are so powerful. So with that being said, why do you think it's important for people here on LinkedIn to kind of really dig into that philosophy so that they can apply it either to their life, which of course also crosses over into their business, the connection between music and then doing well with your business? Where do you find that connection point in your mind?
I think it's just all comes down to this sort of theme of self-care that you hear so many people talk about, that it doesn't need to be music. It's just music's particularly good at it. And that it's important to have some time for us. So I guess, it's difficult for me to switch off doing music because I just do it constantly. But I like sticking a vinyl on or whatever. But
Yeah.
So during the COVID crisis, I, in inverted commas, took up jigsaws because I wanted something that I could, lose myself in for half an hour and try to unwind and try to, decompress all the emotions that we're sort of feeling. Incidentally, I made sure that my jigsaws were heavy metal album covers because I wanted to try and retain some kind of cool points. So the first jigsaw I did was the cover of Metallica's Master of Puppets, which, by the way, was quite tricky, but not as hard as the second one I did, which was Slayer's Rain and Blood. So it's quite hard.
Okay,
but yeah, we need something we can lose our mind, lose ourselves in, and something like that. But music also particularly does well, is that it's really difficult to think of something else whilst you're trying to play an instrument. It's really, particularly when you're a beginner, you're trying to wrestle with where the fingers need to go and, what note's that. You can't be thinking about, Joan in accounting who's just put in another email about a pay raise. It's impossible to think about anything else for 10 or 15 minutes whilst you do it. So in terms of business situation, that's really beneficial for someone who's finding, work's just getting too much, or they're wanting to, they're coming from work and they're being, ratty with their family or their kids or their other half. And, there are so many spin-off benefits from being able to take just an element of pressure out of your non-working life that then feed into your working life. And like I said, my client before, who said she thought she was sleeping better within a week. Well, of course, if you're sleeping better, you're waking up more refreshed. Well, if you're more refreshed, then off it goes. So I think that I think business professionals and professionals or in what entrepreneurs or whatever form they come, this is a kind of message that I hope really resonates with people. And I think that there's so much emphasis and attention going on, like you say, right now through the last year, the need for self-care, the need for sort of preserving our just a general sort of balance. I think that it doesn't have to learn to play the piano, it can be anything, but having something to do. I think that music does it really well.
I agree with you. And the connection, that's what I know for me specifically, is the right brain and left brain be able to talk to each other and so on. I'm very analytical person, for example, believe it or not, financial services background, accounting, all that stuff at one time in my life. And then on the other side, this creative side. And I know that they do help each other. They offset each other. And certainly the creative side really does play a role in your business to, again, lower stress and anxiety that might come from running a business, especially entrepreneurs, people that work by themselves a lot. Again, you need an outlet for that. So speaking of entrepreneur, you are literally an entrepreneur, of course, right? You're a musician and author, but you're an entrepreneur, and this is your livelihood. This is your business and so on. I'm just curious to talk about that, about being a musician or someone in the music community, over 2020 and 2021, very difficult times, obviously. How have you adapted your business model to the current economic conditions? What have you had to do to make sure that you could keep this business alive?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a great question, and I've kind of really felt an awful lot of empathy for a lot of my sort of fellow musicians, in that in some ways part of what I did completely fell apart and just disappeared overnight. But in some ways, other aspects of what I did really started to thrive. So, for example, yes, historically, I've done an awful lot of live performances, and obviously they disappeared. And I was due to be a musical director for a local amateur music theatre production of like Saturday Night Fever. So all that kind of disappeared. So I worked out, I think that somewhere in the region of about £8,000 of work disappeared in like 24 hours. So that was just gone.
Wow.
So that's a huge sum of money.
Sure.
But I was, fortunate that I'd set up my online piano coaching in 2019. And so suddenly I was faced with an audience of people who had always wanted to play piano, had used the excuse of I don't have time, who now suddenly had a lot of time on their hands. Right. And so my online piano coaching tripled within about 3 weeks of COVID happening, because suddenly everyone was like, oh, well, I've always wanted to do that. So I had about 25 members of my membership when COVID happened, and I've now got 112. So that is a huge change in the last sort of 9 or 10 months.
400%. That's 400%. That's giant. That's hockey stick stuff when it comes to business numbers, right?
Absolutely. So I was really fortunate in that way, because it meant that I could sort of replace some parts of my income with others. And also, I tried. You probably quite like this idea. So this was a stupid idea, but it was frankly, it was a hit, and I can't really take much credit for it because it was a daft idea. But when all that work disappeared within sort of 24 hours, I had to drive to Manchester for a photo shoot with my band. So I had some time to sort of, that's like a 3-hour drive. And I had time to sort of mull over like the stress of the situation of all this work was disappearing. What can I do quickly that's going to generate some cash if I can't go and perform anywhere?
Right.
So I thought, right, just for a laugh, I'm going to announce that I'm going to do a piano concert in my lounge, in my house. Stick a webcam on it, stick a microphone on it, sell tickets on my website for like £5.
Sure.
And see if anyone will buy a ticket. And then at least I'll generate like a few hundred quid. And I had like 100 people buy tickets, but I'd done it on bundles. So like you just got a ticket. It was just like a private Facebook group. It was nothing flashier than that. So a £5 ticket got you access to the group. £7 got you some downloads of me playing. £10 got you a bit more kind of thing. And so I think I made like £900 on that first night. And I was suddenly like, right, there's something in that. And people are like, oh, can we do this again? Can we do this again? Because what we were talking about before, this communal aspect of music, people couldn't be together, but now they were all sharing the experience of watching the same thing. And in the comments on Facebook, it was just going, as people like, oh, it's great to be sharing this with my mom who I now can't see, or can you play this song my dad used to sing when I was a child, or whatever. And the comments were going so fast I could barely keep up. And so it was a really shared experience, and people wanted to do it again. And so I've done about 12 of those now through 2020 because people just kept asking me to do it again. And so that generated income that I would never have in a million years have thought about having. And, I literally didn't need to leave the house. Webcam, microphone, couple of lights. My wife would get some drinks and food in, and we would have kind of a party as well and kind of share it with people. And it was just really great to be able to share that. So that became like an income stream that I would never have thought of.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. It's not that it didn't exist. It's just it didn't seem obvious at the time. And then when you start eliminating these other experiences of gigs and live things that you're doing on the weekends and all that kind of stuff, your choir work, and then that becomes a back burner thing. But it's funny how the back burner thing automatically comes right up front and go, wow, this is painfully obvious. You've just given me a whole bunch of ideas. I'm going to tell you secretly, I do that with my friends and family all the time too, play music and stuff. And they've been doing this all year with me, saying, Peter, you should do stuff like that. You should just get on and entertain people, have some fun, a few drinks, and all my buddies who are actually musicians, that's what they've been doing. So to your point of what you've done, you've had to adjust your business model so that you can figure out ways to adapt to the climate. And I think that's really the message here for everybody, whether you're a musician, or whether you're running a small business that had to, close and things like that. There's just ways you had to adapt. And I feel, a lot more empathy, obviously, for the live music industry in general and live entertainment industry in general. Venues have shut down and so on. So everybody associated had to make adjustments. Now, speaking of, you said, I was going to do a photo shoot with my band. Oh, I did not know this, everybody. I did not know this. This guy's like a rock star over at He's a rock star. Before we jumped on, he said, well, we've been doing this for a long time. I said, well, do tell. And he started talking about his band, and it's like, well, send this to me. Send me like a video or something. Let me have a look at this. And he sends me a video, and I look at it, and I'm like, I just watched this video not too long ago. I have no idea how it ended up coming to me. It was before we met, so it wasn't like I triggered it through an algorithm or something because I wasn't searching for you. And I had no idea. And then I look at the video, and there is that beautiful face right there. Marcus hit me. I'm like, come on, what's going on? So anyway, let's talk about your band. Let's talk about your band. A little plug for your band. Tell us about 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Did I say that right? 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Yeah. So
tell us about the band. Tell us about the band.
Yeah, it's a band I didn't join at the beginning. I joined about 3 or 4 records in, and so I can't take the original credit. But I've been in 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 now for, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years or so, something like that. And I'm sort of known as the 5th member, which means that I can walk down the street and no one knows who I am. In fact, sometimes at 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 gigs, no one knows who I am. It's great. But so when the band play our normal, so we're a black metal band. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 means it's the old Anglo-Saxon word for old winter moon, and so we sing a lot about. There's lots of references to Anglo-Saxon history and mythology and so on.
Right.
So
That's cool.
when we do the black metal stuff, I'm involved on record, but not in the live performances. But a couple of years ago, we did an album called The Hallowing of Eden, which was an acoustic album. And so I
Right.
was really heavily involved in that and did the live performances for that as well. So yeah, in fact, that magazine cover there is us on the cover of Zero Tolerance last year. And our last album last year went to #7 in the UK rock charts. So yeah, we do okay. We got a nice little following.
I love it. I love that. I didn't know. And then, like I said, I started listening to that acoustic album that you were just referencing, and God, I was listening to that, and I'm thinking it is so cinematic. Is that probably a term that you've probably heard before? But it makes me feel like I'm in like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, or like it's just amazing. And it's just sitting there. I'm like, God, I'd get lost in that in a heartbeat. And no, I want to play some of it right now, Mark, but I'm thinking, I know how live stream works. I wonder if some of us, it'll cut us off with legal rights. What do you think? Do you think if I put it on, it'll shut us down? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm going to do? How about we do this? Let's do it near the end. Okay, because I've been down this road before with other musicians. I put something on, and all of a sudden, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, all these put up and the stream goes down. So, but everybody, please go out and check out the band, and of course, the Facebook page is right here, facebook.com/ winterfilleth, and you'll see what he's talking about. Seven albums. Again, just a wide variety of kind of feels of the music, especially the acoustic one, the acoustic album. I can't wait to dig into that. So thank you for steering me in the right direction to find that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me just do that right now, because I want to make sure that people get out there and check out that what we're talking about here. Let's go to. I so want to play some of that songs right now, but I'll wait for a second here. I'll wait for a second. Let's go and see if I can find your music page, or let's go to this. Well, here's the video. I want to show the video. I'll turn the volume down for now. But so this is the video of the band, and I'm going to wait till the end in a second here, but I want to show everybody. I was going scrolling through it, and of course, it has this kind of feel. And look at the band. Look at that guy standing behind the piano, or sitting behind that guy. I was like, I've seen that guy before. Look, right? I mean, look at this. This is, anyway, I think everyone can see right now what this is going to sound like. It's going to sound phenomenal. So I'm going to do that at the end, okay? So that just in case the live stream decides to kick us off, I certainly don't want to lose this opportunity to keep speaking to you and so on. So this is fantastic. Let's just talk about a little bit about your music. We're going to get you to play. I really appreciate that. So I'm definitely going to ask you to show a little bit about that. A lot of the things about being a musician and being an entrepreneur, especially today, you've obviously been doing this a long time. You started, you said probably when you were five years old. Would that be correct? You started, playing music and so on. What do you think you're most proud of your journey to date? Just your musical journey, generally speaking. What are you most proud of about what you've done with your talents and your and with your ability to actually see that was your, that was almost your fate in this world, is that you're supposed to be a musician and you followed it.
It's really weird. So sometimes when people ask those questions, you sort of immediately think about, your career highlights and the things that you've got the most pleasure out of. So like I was lucky enough to play Carnegie Hall a few years ago with the choir that I was on tour on. So that was really cool. And so you think of these things and these highlights. And I did a show in Leeds in England with a choir of 300 singers and an orchestra, and I was playing the pipe organ, and we were doing a Man of War song, the metal band. So yeah, that was really cool. So you think of these really cool moments. But as I said earlier, I think that I found it really, really difficult all the way through my career, to the point of like I got ribbed by my family, my parents, and my wife, that I can't take compliments. I find it very, very difficult to accept compliments about any sort of musical performance. And someone says, "Oh, that was really great," or "Oh, you played brilliantly tonight," or my perfectionist brain immediately kicks in and says, "Yeah, but I fluffed that note," or whatever. So I've always historically really, really struggled with that. And so when people have said about the benefit that the music that I've performed or arranged or conducted has had on them, as I said earlier, you know, that's always been like a sort of an afterthought. And it's really taken, my thought process has really sort of gradually crept up on me in the last year. That, like you say, you know, people use the expression "your North Star" or what you're meant to do, what you're here to do. And I'm starting to sort of, I find it difficult to accept praise still in terms of the quality, but I'm starting to be able to acknowledge the impact a bit more, a bit easier. And I'm starting to, when people are saying, you know, that they are, as a result of learning to play piano, they're able to play a song that they, you know, their granddad used to sing to them, or that kind of like soul stuff that music can give you, to be able to facilitate that. Yeah, I am quite proud of that. And I think that one other thing that I would say is sort of connected to that is that my my choir, Sing United, we've set up our own foundation, a charity foundation, because we were doing so much fundraising. And we've raised about £20,000 in the last couple of years for very local causes. And I never, ever thought I'd be able to say, I've got my own charity. That was never a sentence that crossed my mind. But the work of Sing United, and what we were talking about earlier about how businesses have had to pivot in the last year, I would encourage businesses to not assume that their customers won't be able to respond to that pivot. So what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of my choir are, let's call it, in the second half of their lives, age-wise. You know, I've got some elderly members, but, you know, I would say people younger than 40 are in the minority. And so had you asked me about the notion of doing a virtual choir rehearsal a year ago, I would have just laughed you out the room. Like, well, what on earth is the point of that?
Firstly, why would I do that? Yeah.
Well, why would I do that? Firstly, they're never going to be able to use Zoom to do that. But secondly, what is the point? Because we're not going to be able to hear each other, because, of course, the musical syncing is never, ever going to happen with 150 singers. So had you asked me a year ago, was there any point in that? Was there any value in that? My perfectionist musical director brain would have said, no, that's crazy. Why would you do that? That's pointless. But when we were kind of forced to do it, and I immediately took the decision, there was no way I was going to let a pandemic stop Sing United, because, you know, apart from anything else in my livelihood, but I felt a responsibility to these people because I know how important it is in their lives. I just immediately took the decision that we need to find a way to make this work, because this is such a musical crutch in so many people's lives, mine included, that we have to keep this going somehow. So we're going to do virtual rehearsals. I'm going to make the tech work, and we're just going to have to make it as best we can. You know, the very sort of British, we'll do the best of it kind of thing. Yes, but I never for a second thought that it would really have any musical value, that it would have any kind of impact to the extent that it did, until I saw it happen. And I cannot believe to this day, a year later, that if you stick 100 people on a screen and get them to sing, you know, they can hear me playing the piano, they can hear the rehearsal tracks playing down the internet to them. Even though we can't hear each other, it still makes you cry. Wow. It still makes you cry. And I assumed, after many years of doing this in a room with people, I've conducted choirs for 20 years. I know how emotional it can be. I know how powerful that can be. But I'd assumed it was the music. I'd assumed it was the fact that we were in the room, we can hear it, it sounds amazing, we feel great. Yeah. But what has in fact happened is, if you put them on a screen and you can't hear them sing, it's still amazing, because the act of looking at 100 faces singing their hearts out in the comfort and safety of their own homes is still that communal experience. It's still got it, even though the music's gone. And that absolutely still to this day blows my mind. But I've seen it happen every week now, because we've never stopped.
Right.
And I still see people in the breaking down crying.
Right.
Because they're singing songs that they feel, that they mean, and this communal experience is doing their soul good. And we've had people say, you know, it's kept my sanity during the pandemic. I'm not seeing any of my friends and family. That is the only thing in my diary, to come and to sing with my friends, even though they can't hear each other.
Right.
And that is so powerful. And I'm genuinely, I don't like to use the word pride very easily. You know, I feel a bit uncomfortable being proud of something I've done. But I am genuinely pretty proud of the fact that we kept that going. And I hope people, you know, I know that they're grateful, and I hope that they remember it. I hope they sort of remember what it was like, because that's given us such a unique way to experience music that I never would have thought was possible.
You just listen. You're talking to right to my soul, my friend. Like you said, it's that communal. I feel connected to somebody, and that's where it gets emotional. I know exactly what you mean by that. I could play music uh, for myself, and depending on the messaging, some songs actually make me cry by myself. But when I'm in the presence of other people who I can sense are feeling that of what these words mean to them and so on, and I can see that they're gone on their own journey emotionally, within their own mind and their storytelling within their own mind of memories and so on. How can you not get emotional? I mean, you just feel this incredible connection, even though it's digitally.
Yeah, that's what you said, though. So you would have said when you're in the presence of other people, you would have assumed that that meant you have to be in the room, and you don't.
You don't, and you do not. I love it. You are so dialed in and tapped in. I'm so glad I reached out to you. Let's show people what you do. Let's get to the piano a little bit.
Oh, really?
I stumbled upon you during you were actually live at the time. You have a fantastic setup, so you're able to teach people and show people a little bit about how to play piano and so on. So when you were online, and you're right now, let's just bridge it to the how I found you on LinkedIn. You were playing for people with the idea to do what? What was the goal of doing it here on LinkedIn? And then, of course, you were simulcasting on Clubhouse as well, and maybe what was the point of actually doing it?
Let's just chill out together. Let's just sort of share that experience. So we do it every week on a Friday at 4:30 UK time, sort of winding down into the weekend. I play the piano for half an hour. I put it on my LinkedIn profile, on the Mark Deeks Music Facebook page, in my Facebook group, Play Piano in 30 Seconds, on my YouTube channel. And yeah, now with Clubhouse, we put the audio into Clubhouse as well. And, people can comment, ask for requests, or they can just, it's chill out piano while you work. So depending on your time zone, people might still be sat at their desks. So just have that kind of background music where people can interact with if they want. So yeah, that was the idea.
Right. So give us a sample of, like, literally when I was tuning in, you know what was it funny? I just want to tell this story. You were playing a Bryan Adams song. So a Canadian, I was like, he's playing Bryan Adams in the background there.
That one, yeah?
Yes, it was. That's why I'm hoping. I'm speaking over it only because I don't want YouTube and those guys to cut us off.
Yeah, that's cool. Great tune. Works nice on piano.
Oh, listen, bravo. That is so cool. And you were talking through with people. People were kind of reaching out online and saying, hey, I'm listening to you at my desk right now, taking 5 minutes, grabbing a coffee. I'm doing something like that. I just thought that was a very clever way for you to kind of engage and remind people that we need that downtime, even during the day. Now, I put it up along the bottom there where you do that. You do it on 4:30 UK time and so on. So I'll pick it up a coffee break. It'll be 9:30 here, so I'll pick it up as a coffee break. It's almost happy hour for me at 9:30, just so you know. Almost. Again, the idea of connecting with people on LinkedIn is that what's the goal and the hope of do you want people to kind of reach out to you to become even students, to be part of it, or is there a much deeper, sort of broader goal here with connecting with people on LinkedIn through music?
I think there's multiple layers to it, isn't it? So obviously I do this as a business. So there are two different ways people can work with me. I've got my online membership, Piano Legends, which is just a low-cost subscription. People access a library of videos. They can learn at their own pace, in their own time, in their own home. They don't have to haul themselves to a piano lesson every week. They don't need to feel stupid about asking questions because they can rewind the videos and pause it and watch it as many times as they like. So, and then crucially, we have a members group on Facebook where people can ask me questions. We do live Q&As and masterclasses and so on. So that's one way that people can work with me. And then I've got a 90-day one-to-one coaching program where I have 3 spaces available at once, where people can work with me much closer and play their dream song in 90 days, whether they've never played before or not. So yeah, obviously I want to get that message out. Here are the ways that you can work with me. But if people just read my book and feel inspired to go and do something else positive with their life, And because, as I said, Not Another Piano Book is really just it's a motivational book first, and then how to play piano second. So I think it's just about encouraging people to feel positive, to realize that they can do things that they've told themselves for many years they might not be able to, and just to encourage it. And if people just want to listen to the piano playing, then that's cool too. It's why not?
Why not? Exactly. Now, where on this website can I go to see that example? Give me an example of where I can go in and see maybe a sample lesson or something like that. Because I was on it earlier, and I'm sorry, I just had to navigate it.
If you want to sample, it's underneath the online lessons.
Okay.
And then in piano.
And maybe a free sample that
can go there. Yeah. So you can get a free sample lesson there, or if you want to have like a free 7-day trial of all of the lessons, then you just click on that blue button that was on the page before to click here to get started. But yeah, you can have a free sample there.
There you go. Fantastic. So I just wanted to show that. I wanted to show the website so everyone can understand that it has so much information in here. I was playing with it just before we came on, but I need to navigate it a little bit more. So I hope everyone goes out to it. It's markdeeksmusic.com, markdeeksmusic.com.
I think the crucial thing about it is that, that photo there shows you that there's more than one way you can get the information. So people who have been put off learning to play piano because they don't want to learn to read music can just watch my hands, and you'll see that the keys light up above my hands on that app, piano that's above my hands. So they can follow the lighting up keys, they can follow my hands, and they can see the sheet music and all the sheet music's there to download as well. So it's whatever your learning style is, it's accessible to everyone.
Right. I love it. Well, I already signed up for your, I don't know if you saw my request for your private Facebook group where you're giving out tips I think you give that once a week.
Play piano in 30 seconds. Yeah, that's the free group. Yeah.
Yeah. So I signed up for that last night. I said, I'm going to learn it because I did the same thing. I have a piano over here. And again, learning it by ear is somewhat of a challenge. If you can't read music, I can understand why it would put people off. But I think the combination of having someone like you kind of steer them down the path and then not necessarily know how to read music can move you very quickly in the right direction and so on. I just want to see your setup again so that people understand when they do get involved with connecting with you that it's really a hands-on experience. I love your setup, by the way. You've done a great job. It sounds fantastic. You also have a camera above you, which we were talking about earlier. So there's multiple different camera angles that you have there, Mark, and so on. So generally, if we were doing one-on-one right now, this is sort of kind of like the setup that we would be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got the over the head shot, and sometimes it's just useful to use the just have this focus if I'm talking about the angle of your wrist, or what general sort of access techniques around the keys can be. But it's useful to be able to have the sort of combination, so I can sort of still talk to someone to their face, as it were, and they can see the different angles, because between that shot in the top right, sort of seeing what my wrists are doing and being able to see my fingers from directly above you, it's a pretty good combination.
Fantastic. And this is what's so exciting about digital technology today is that just imagine you are in a small little room and you basically have 3 or 4 camera angles. You can broadcast, you can connect with anyone in the world, through this sort of technology. I think that's amazing stuff. I think we forget that. I know for me, I know I miss live music and interacting with people like you and seeing you live, but watching what you do and how you do it, and I can work with you one-on-one, that's amazing. Now, again, the health benefits of that, I just want to remind the reason why I wanted to bring musicians on here, and I want to talk about these kinds of things because it's mind, health, and wellness. It's all about it's the ability to connect your left and right brain, and all of that allows you to be a better person in your life and a better person in your business. And there's a direct connection and correlation to those. I just know that. It's kind of like talking to sports people, the same thing, the same mechanisms for being at the top of your game for sports applies for business, applies for musicians, and so on. I'm just wondering, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and again, I want to reference you as an entrepreneur, which you are. I'm wondering, through your journey as being an entrepreneur, what advice you might have given to your younger self when you were kind of kicking through this? Because, when you're a young musician, man, I can imagine you have 1,000 stories you could tell us, but you've probably heard no and give it up, go get a job 1,000 times, and yet you persevered. What advice would you give your younger self for that journey?
I think it's interesting because my mom still remembers someone saying to her when I was a child, you know, are you really encouraging him to do this music thing because, you know, what's he going to do for a job? And I kind of joke with people. I feel like I've done the traditional musician career in reverse. So of course, many musicians will get out of school or college or university and then try and become a rock star, and then when it fails, they fall into teaching, and it's the sort of fallback from, you know, a lot of musicians' careers. Whereas I kind of did that the other way around. So I was a music lecturer at like 21, 22, did like 10, 12 years of teaching, and then decided that I wanted to get out of the sort of formal education game because I just couldn't stand the paperwork anymore. It just ruined music for me. I knew if I could just be left in a room with some young musicians, I would make them better musicians. But I didn't have time to think about that because I was having to fill in too many spreadsheets. So I then sort of decided to go out on my own and try and, you know, I'd always been a professional musician on the side kind of thing, on the side of being a lecturer. But I wanted to see if I could do it all the time. And it's kind of, you know, now I'm in a metal band and I make my own music. I've just recorded a project called Art at the end of last year, and that's going to come out this year. And I feel like I'm living the rock star dream now as in my mid 40s. But I've kind of built a business around it. So I think that what I always used to say to the students, like when I was if I put my music lecturing hat on, I always used to say to them, you need to be as flexible as possible and to be able to show convincingly that you could earn a living as a musician in as many different musical settings as possible. So can I go and do a gig at a wedding? Yes. Can I go and do, you know, can I conduct a choir? Yes. Can I arrange for an orchestra? Yes. Do you know what I mean? Different styles of music, jazz or rock or whatever it is. Can you make music happen to order? Because as a musician, you're going to be doing stuff to everyone else's specifications all of the time, making the music that they want to hear. You know, even when I joined 𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗏 for the first time I was in the studio with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, I was almost brought in as like a vocal consultant. They wanted me to help with the harmonies and stuff. And so it was only because we got on so well, I ended up joining the band. So being able to adapt to as many settings as possible as a young musician, that is super useful, because if you're going to be able to make a living at this, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to get enough money, at least straight away, from just doing one style, from just doing one kind of gig, whatever it is. So that's my advice for young musicians. You need to be flexible. You need to be able to adapt to as many different musical settings. Can you teach it? Can you play it? Can you arrange it? Can you write original stuff? And so on. Is that applicable to entrepreneurs across the board? Yeah, probably, because when you're first starting out in business, whatever the business is, particularly for a solo entrepreneur, and the mentality is you need to be able to, you know, we all then try and serve all of the customers. We try and like, oh, I can do websites, I can do graphic design, I can do whatever. And people sort of, they try and sell themselves to all of these different things. And as a young musician, you do the same thing. You try and turn your hand to as many different things as possible. And I guess it's only with age you then realize, you know, how many times have you heard in marketing land about the importance of niching down? Yeah. It's true. It's true. And it's true in so many different contexts and so many different businesses. I help frustrated adults to be able to play the piano easier than they ever thought they could, after probably many years of telling themselves they couldn't. That's what I do. And I don't teach classical music. There's musical reasons for that, but people who want to learn to play classical music, I say, great, go and, you know, get a classical piano teacher. I can play classical piano. I was classically trained. I just don't want to. So I've kind of niched down to that. People want me to teach their kids. I don't really enjoy teaching children one-to-one, so I don't do that. So I've gradually sort of funneled down. I help adults, probably many of whom are a little bit older, probably some of them very elderly, just to have that pleasure in their life, just to switch off. If you're a professional or you're retired, doesn't matter. But yeah, that sort of funneling down and not being afraid to niche, I've really struggled with over a lot of years. But I'm coming to the conclusion it's what I do best. So let's do that.
Yeah, and the great advice, I love the advice you talked about being flexible and staying relevant. A good friend of mine that I chat with often, Kenny Aronoff, who plays with John Fogerty full time, but he played, you know, he's played with everybody. That's what his go-to is, talking about all the time. He play country music. He can play. He's played all kinds of different genres of music. He can be a team player in the studio. You mentioned talking about that, where they brought you into the studio and then they found out, wow, you know, maybe you should bring this guy on. The idea of being flexible and being able to adapt so that you can stay relevant in the industry and find your niche, no matter what that is. So the fact that you've been able to kind of have a whole bunch of different niches and then pick them as the economy moves and shifts, I mean, when touring opens up again, I'm sure your band will get out there and start touring again and do those kinds of things. So love that answer. And it absolutely parallels with business today, because every single person has to figure out a way to adapt to what's happening in their local economy and the global economy as well. So
but don't be afraid to talk to your customers, like we were talking before. You know, I've got loads of people who are very elderly who are on Zoom choir rehearsals every week now, who I'd never in a million years would have thought could do it. Mind you, the first few weeks not so good, but they kind of responded to it. You know, customers will adapt if they feel like you're still providing value for them. You know.
Bingo. Providing value. Love that. I love that. Now I'm going to do a little exercise with you because I want to show people. We just talked about the power of music. Of course, this is an exception. This is the only time I can do something like this is when I have a musician like yourself on. I want to talk about the power of music. We talk about that connection, that community, and how emotional it can be, and the different kinds. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you're going to love this because I know you'll rock it. No, we'll have fun with this. I'm going to throw up a little clip because I tell people, when I'm talking about music, especially for video, when I create videos for people and content, I tell them that I always start with a music track first, and then I shoot the video and edit the video with that track in mind, because it's the mood, it's the feel. I don't try to fit the music into the video. I want the video images to reflect what the feeling is, and I always compare it to the idea of being able to take a piece of video and turn the volume down and then put different types of pieces of music on it to see, and you could change what you're actually feeling and seeing inside that. So I'm going to throw up a little video clip of me, when I was doing some traveling, and I put together this video. I think some of this clip is from when I was traveling in Rwanda, of all places, but it's just got some really cool little images in there. And I'm just curious, I want you to play over top of it for me. And I want you to,
okay,
just make something up. Like, just make something up. And
do we put the camera overhead as well?
So what I'll do here, let me just see if I can get the video up for us. This will be just a super fun experience. Well, for me, it will be for sure. But it demonstrates the power of music, and it demonstrates the ability to be able to understand how emotionally impactful music is and what can it do for your brain and so on. Cool. So I'm going to try to find.
I'm well up for this challenge. Let's go.
Yeah, this is a cool little video. Where is that guy? Right, just a second. It left me here. Why did it do that? Just stay with me, because I just set it all up, and now it decided to leave me here.
Don't worry about it. Don't panic.
No. Yeah, listen. This is just this is what we're talking about when it comes to being able to produce a live show. I think a lot of people wondering.
You want me to fill in the gap?
Who does your producing? It's like. There you go.
Are we ruining the mood now? Sorry.
No, you haven't ruined it at all. I got to turn the volume down of the video. So here, I'm just getting the video prep for you so that we can move it around here, and I'm going to be able to move it into the stream right now. And then again, I want you to kind of play with it a little bit and see if we can do something. Where is the actual video stream here? Oh, it is struggling to do that with me. Just stay with me 1 second here, my fine friend. Yeah. Oh, this is the first time that has happened to me in a long time. Let me just try this one more time, my friend. I'm going to try. I really want to do this with you, because I just thought this is going to be pretty cool if I can get him to connect with some of these the emotions of what's happening here. So let me I'll double click that. There it is. Turn the volume down. Let's try that one more time, and we'll get you to do that. So yeah, it is just not wanting to do that with me right now. It's not doing it right now for me. I super apologize. I'm gonna work on that for 2 seconds. I want to keep the show moving along here, and I apologize for that.
Sorry.
Technically, technical happens all the time. I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna figure this out. Don't you worry. I'm gonna figure this out. Before we go, we're not going anywhere. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. So I got to get to the fun part first. We got to get to some fun. I'm going to come back to this music thing because, again, I still want to play a little bit of your video clip of your band as well, just in case the link decides to cut us off here. We just met today. So this is what I love about this. We just met today. And so you don't get to know people on LinkedIn as well as you probably could. So I've come up with something that allows me to know somebody. So this or that. Okay. Little thing called this or that. And all I'm going to do is I'll throw out two things and you just pick one of them, and it will give
Cool.
us a little insight into the mind of Mark Deeks. That's what it's going to do right now. So let's see what happens here with this or that with Mark Deeks. Let's start with this. I didn't ask you this question earlier, so if the answer is I don't do this at all, that's fine. We'll figure another question out. How about this? How about whiskey or wine?
Tough one. Wine, maybe just.
I love the fact that that's tough. That is tough for me
Yeah,
too.
I like them both. Depends on my mood.
Depends what time of day. Is it morning? No. Yeah, no, that's funny. I love that. Spider-Man or Batman?
If it's not Star Wars, I haven't seen it.
Oh, so just absolute Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
I'm totally ignorant of film. Sorry.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this will be interesting.
Unless it's Star Wars.
Did they have a musical in Star Wars? I mean, maybe. No, okay. For 60s music or 80s music?
80s.
80s. Okay. Convertible or truck?
Convertible.
Ah, nice. Musician. There you go. I thought you picked the truck just because of the music, moving the stuff around. I guess you've done that enough of that in the past, right?
Yeah, my wife likes convertible.
I was going to ask you about musicals. So, but I don't know. So have you watched musicals? I'm guessing
music theater. So my wife is a massive musicals fan. I absolutely cannot abide them. However, I've worked on quite a few, and of course, being married to a big fan, I've now gathered some knowledge of them.
Got it. Okay, well, let's throw out a couple and see if either one of these resonate with you. Okay. If you pick the musicals, and I guess musical is a strong word. Actually, I'm not talking necessarily about live theater. It could be live theater, and it could be in film. Okay. Chicago or Rocket Man?
Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. Did you see Rocket Man, by the way? Just curious if you saw the movie. No. I was with Elton John, and it was all kind of, anyway, it was another thing. It's interesting. So you don't watch those. Okay, Star Wars, everybody. I didn't know. See, that's why we do these things. I didn't know this. How about perform in 100 countries or visit the International Space Station?
Perform in 100 countries.
Oh, I'm fascinated. I thought you'd go to space just with your Star Wars thing. No, okay. I agree. Playing in 100 countries would be cool.
Yeah, sounds great.
How about movies? I don't know if you know anything outside of that. You said I don't know anything else, but Shawshank Redemption or Gladiator?
I've literally never seen either of them.
You've never seen either of those? Fantastic. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, okay, give me. Okay, the original Star Wars or the latest Star Wars? Give us that.
The original, obviously.
Yeah, the original.
What kind of fool are you?
I don't watch enough of it. So next time we do this or that, I'm going to dig more into the Star Wars stuff. How about this? Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Sunrise. So you're early riser? You early riser?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. A day with Paul McCartney or a day with Robert Plant?
Robert Plant.
Ah, really? Fantastic. Why is that? Just curious.
It's just a bit more rock, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more rock. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it pushes that genre. I just thought McCartney as well because of piano and, of course, the Beatles and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fair enough. How about this? Hope or freedom?
Freedom, because that means it's already happened.
Ah. Okay.
Whereas hope is it still might. But I do really like the emotion of hope. We're doing a set of songs called Songs of Hope right now with Sing United. So, but I just thought that would kind of tap into what people needed right now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, there's no right or wrong with that for sure. How about finish this sentence for me? I love my life because
I'm married to Angela.
Oh, listen.
It's true. She's great.
I'm going to cut this snippet out for you. You can put it on your phone.
Thanks very much.
and you can play it for her every day. Just as soon as
don't worry, I'll take care of that immediately. We're finished.
Click. This is what I did. Hey, but that just says a lot about you, Karen.
She's a good
one. I can relate to that, by the way. I totally relate to that in my life as well. I can totally relate to that. I just knew, listen, my fine friend, I knew that this was going to be a fantastic connection. I can't believe how we met. I'm so glad that we did. I
Yeah,
know that we're going to do this. We're going to do this again because now that I know a little bit more about you and what you're doing, especially you mentioned, you know, the fact that you have a philanthropic endeavors going on. I love that idea with your, you know, as you as a person. So giving back is important to you. The power of music. I mean, just the concept of us being musicians and like-minded on that. I really appreciate that. I love what you're doing out there on LinkedIn. Again, you're reminding people that we need to connect and be more communal.
thank
And
you.
there's nothing that does that more powerfully than music. Let's face that. I mean, nothing does that more. For me, it does. I should say that, but I think most people can relate to that statement for sure. I'm going to make sure I put up a couple things here. First of all, musician, author, we have that really important book out there. We got the book on Amazon, not another piano book, just so you know, everybody, not another piano book. So that book's available on Amazon. Here's the website, so you can go there at markdeeksmusic.com, and he does something every Friday, which is really, really cool. Every Friday, does a little chill out piano. Which is fantastic. So that's going to be on LinkedIn Live, but it's also going to be on your YouTube channel and Clubhouse. You're going to be putting. So you're going to stay active on Clubhouse a bit, yeah?
Yeah, I'm totally honest about it on all my social media. I hated the idea of Clubhouse when someone told me what it was. That sounded like the last social media channel I wanted to be on. But
Right.
I kind of really got the potential of it. So today, for example, I have been in a room talking about what should be in your bio on Clubhouse, and ended up getting a client from one of the moderators because she said, "Oh, while you're here, I've got a piano and I want to be able to play it for my 50th birthday." So that was great. And then I was in a room helping people with my a video specialist I know, helping people to learn to play. To learn to use video to create sales. So I was in like a video room. Then I was in a room that was called Grief, Loss, and Trauma, of people who are sort of trying to help people heal and recover from major traumatic events in their life, and are interested in using sound to do that. And they asked me to play piano for a little bit during that. So that was really powerful and moving. And then I'm talking to you today, all the way from Canada, about all different kinds of things. So yeah, Clubhouse seems to have really opened up loads of possibilities. And by the way, all of those happened as a result of starting in Clubhouse. So yeah, I'm kind of really enjoying the possibilities of what it's. I don't know if it'll always be this exciting, but it's kind of really interesting conversations right now, just because you end up talking to loads of people you would never have spoken to. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that it's come at a time when you know, people are feeling more disconnected, and the idea of hearing other people's voices. You can't always get on a video screen and so on, but everyone can understand how to click on and literally just speak into a phone. And so there's something about the magic of hearing someone's voice. Then you can go out to LinkedIn. So that's what I did. I went out to LinkedIn after following Liam. I forget Liam's last name.
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, I think.
Yeah, Liam, and so Liam started. I started connecting with him on Clubhouse. I connected with him. He started following you. That's how you popped up on my LinkedIn feed. So I just, you know, I just think that there's an amazing connection between all of these platforms, and the most, you know, what's fun about it is that we get to do this. We get to create new friendships. Absolutely. And new opportunities to have.
Can I just give a quick plug? So I've got a second room on a Friday at 12 p.m. UK time, so at midday UK time, called Music, Meaning, and Mental Health.
Okay, please do. Go ahead. No,
it's an opportunity for people to come and discuss their stories and their memories of different pieces of music and what they mean to them, and how music has helped them during their lives, either just listening or playing or just sharing how particular songs might remind them of, you know, lost loved ones, or what it is, just how music plays a role in our life and how it can help us in so many different ways. So yeah, it's just called Music, Meaning, and Mental Health. But if you connect with me at Mark Deeks Music on Clubhouse, that's every Friday, 12 o'clock at UK time.
I love that. Oh, that's a great concept. I love that. I'll be tuning into that. Please, everybody, like I said, go out to Mark's LinkedIn page so you can connect with him there. And then, of course, you'll get an idea of all of these different events and scheduled things that he's going to be broadcasting on different platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or so on. So, my fine friend, I just tried to get some of that up. I'm heartbroken because I'm normally pretty savvy with this stuff, but the streaming service is deciding to do all kinds of interesting things today. So I won't be able to bring up that video for you right this second. Let's do this again. Hey, so I just threw it out at you. We'll do it again. we'll do it again, and then we'll show the power of music and what it does for people, especially when it comes to connecting like we've done today. So, my fine friend, I super appreciate having this conversation with you.
Thank you very, very much indeed.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So stick around afterwards here, and we'll have a quick little chat. I want to thank everyone for watching us here on Linked Up on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and all these kinds of things. Please reach out to me if you have any ideas for connecting more with Mark, or at least go out directly into to his LinkedIn page. And also along the bottom there, I'll just throw that up real quick, markdeeksmusic.com. Man, I love this conversation. I don't want it to end, but we got to get everyone back to work here. You stick around. We'll see you after that. Everybody else, I'm going to play you out a little bit. When I turned a certain age, I went to Ireland, and I bought a guitar with me, and I just said to myself, I want to play everywhere I stop. So everywhere I stopped, just brought the guitar in over my shoulder, told them I was from Canada, and said, hey, do you mind if I kind of sit in? And it was always the same response. So went around the entire island and played in all kinds of different pubs. I'll just show you like two quick little clips when we leave here. But this is the fun of music. I didn't know anybody in Ireland. You walk into a pub on a Sunday afternoon at 3:30 into the Brazen Head in Dublin, Ireland, and all of a sudden now you're buddies with everybody. So this is what music does. It's community, right? It brings community together and so on. So Mark, hey, we'll talk again soon, my friend. It was great to meet you, and everybody else.
Appreciate it.
Everybody else, be kind out there. How about that? Just be kind out there. We'll see you next time, everyone. Okay. Cheers.